What the f is this piece of shit?
I gotta say, you guys, I'm pretty disappointed in Sony going all in on games as a service. They're going to make a bunch of these games of all different shapes and sizes and just hope that one of them sticks so that they can have their own Fortnite. That's what a lot of these AAA publishers have been aiming for, and of course some of them have achieved some great success. Obviously not Fortnite level, but games like Apex Legends and hell, even a game like Sea of Thieves. That's what Sony is looking for. They're looking for a dedicated audience that's going to continue spending money on these season passes and just continue playing the game. Unfortunately for a gamer like me, I'm not really into this style of game. I fell in love with PlayStation probably during the tail end of the PS3 generation into the PS4 because of their single player games. And it wasn't just because of the AAA narrative driven games like The Last of Us and Uncharted, but also because during the PS3 into the PS4 generation, Sony was a lot different in general. Like, they created games that they just don't do anymore. Like, when's the last time Sony put out a first-person shooter from a first-party studio? It doesn't happen. Not only that, but they've obviously completely slowed down on publishing indie titles like Journey, and as you saw recently, they shut down Pixel Opus, who I'm sure had something along the lines of their previous game, Concrete Genie, in the works. That's just not the Sony we're getting anymore. And like I said, as someone who really fell in love with the brand because of their willingness to fund games like Fat Princess or The Unfinished Swan, it's just, they're not the same company anymore, and it's a bit more worrying after the latest showcase. It was said that they were going to release 10 service games in the near future, and that sounded wild. And then closer to the showcase, it was rumored that it was actually going to be 12 service games in the works. So this is obviously what PlayStation is focusing on. And I'm not saying it's all doom and gloom. Yes, they will have service games, but that doesn't mean the AAA bangers are going to stop. But I will say, a lot of resources from Sony are going towards these styles of games, and as someone, like I said, who isn't typically into service games, it's just a little worrying knowing that they have so many multiplayer games in the works. And then the news came today that Sony Bend is working on a multiplayer game. This is a huge studio from PlayStation that has completely pivoted from making single-player narrative games since like the 90s to now making a multiplayer online game. And that just worries me. With such a major focus on games as service multiplayer games and seeing studios like Sony Bend transition completely to multiplayer games, as a PlayStation fan, that worries me. And also as just an analyst, I guess, I am very interested to see how this turns out for Sony, because I feel like it could go either way. This could be huge for them. Hell, maybe they do get their next Fortnite, but I'm just a bit skeptical because we've seen a bunch of these games fail, and I'm just along for the ride, I guess. As I was saying before, I don't think they expect all of these to succeed, but my worry is that after major investment from Sony, none of them or very few will pan out, meaning that they ultimately came at the expense of great single-player experiences. Because let's be real, service games are really hard. You can have a fantastic launch. Just look at Halo Infinite. Yeah, nowadays, whenever people think Halo Infinite, it's like, ooh, gross. But at launch, people forget the game was a huge hit. Tons of old Halo players went back to the franchise and were loving the multiplayer. Gamers who had never played Halo did it for the first time. The numbers were great. The campaign reviewed exceptionally. It actually has the exact same Metacritic score as Spider-Man PS4. I feel like a lot of people forget that. But then, just a few months later, the hype died down because of how bad support was for Halo Infinite. And they honestly never really got back on track until recently, and that's still arguable. As an analyst, YouTuber, whatever you want to call it, I understand why they're doing this. It makes sense. Every publisher wants a Fortnite. But as a fan of PlayStation and someone who's already been sort of drifting and become more console agnostic recently, this could potentially give me more reason to keep drifting because it's just not for me. Let me know what you think down in the comments section below. Are you worried about all these service games and Sony's major pivot to 60% games as service and 40% traditional video games? And keep in mind, that's just right now, 60% service games. Maybe it's more in the future. As a fan, that really worries me, but let me know what you think down in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that thumbs up. If you didn't, hit that thumbs down. And if you're feeling really generous, hit that subscribe button. I will talk to you guys next time. See ya.